Welcome to Generations, a show which helps people 50 and better lead happy, healthy, and productive lives. Here's today's moderator, Beverly Crosby.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Generations. Today, rather than having a guest, we are going to have a group discussion with our co-host. I will be asking them random questions about their experiences this past year with the pandemic. So, with that, let's meet our co-host. Hello, everybody. It is so good to see you today. I'm very excited about our show. David, how are you?
I'm good, but a little apprehensive because I know you're going to ask questions that I don't even know what they're going to be. So,
Okay, and Midge, it's good to see you.
It's great to be here and see all your shining faces today.
Bob, welcome. Looking forward to some fun answers from you.
Absolutely. This should be a fun show.
Yeah. And Gloria, how are you today?
I'm great and I'm enthusiastic. I think it's fun when we don't know the questions. You don't know the answer and you'll be surprised when it comes out.
Nadia, are you ready to go?
I am. I love it when there's a test.
Okay. Okay. Well, as I said in my opening, this topic today is about the pandemic this last year that we've all gone through and our experiences. So I'll just go off the first question. I've got lots of them here, folks. Okay, if you had known a year ago that the pandemic would still be a huge concern a year later, what would have you done differently? And I'm going to give you just an example to start off. I was planning on doing all these little short trips this year to see friends. I've been putting it off for years. I've put it off for so many years, and I thought, this is the year. Well, guess what? Hopefully this next year. That's what I would change.
I would say it's along those same lines. I had a trip planned a couple of years ago. In fact, my husband and I started the trip to go out west, which is an area we love. And we got out there, but there was trouble with the car. So we turned around and came back home and didn't have our trip. I would have gone ahead immediately the next season and done that trip.
Okay, who's next?
Oh, I had a trip planned out to New York City to visit. My wife and I were going to visit one of her best friends and then move on to Massachusetts, where one of our daughters lives with my 3 grandkids and her husband. So that trip's gone by the wayside for now. Hopefully this summer, maybe.
Yeah, and that question stumps me a little because I don't know what I would have done differently. I was hoping that my kids were going to come home for Christmas, and when that didn't happen, I know I'm probably a lot more cautious than some of my friends because they are like getting together with their families and stuff, and I never did. We made that decision. We did last summer, but then as the fall went on, so I don't know what I would have done differently.
It's hard to know. My husband and I had a wonderful cruise planned for last July, which we had to cancel, and I was so disappointed about it. But I found myself thinking during the year that I wish I had gone out to see my grandkids in Oregon before that happened. But of course, we don't have foresight. We can't see what's going to happen. So we've adjusted. We're staying home.
yeah. I think for me, for the most part, I try not to relive the past too much. And if I do, I kind of realize I understand why I made the choices I did. I don't know that I really would have done anything differently anyway. And as some of you were saying, I'm not even sure what that different thing would be in this case. So I don't have a lot of big regrets in that regard. Obviously, we've had to behave differently as a result, but I don't know that there's anything beforehand that would have changed that or that I would have done that would have somehow made this go away or anything like that. So.
Okay, all good things. This sounds like the airlines might get real busy this coming when it does get over.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's another question. In a word or two, when all else fails, when you just think it's just too much, what's your go-to? And I'll tell you mine. I stop. I just stop and I have that second cup of coffee. I normally have one cup of coffee. That's it. But I'll stop and just have a second cup. It makes me feel better.
I take a long walk. That's where I can really think clearly when I'm walking and moving.
And I curl up on the couch with a good book. I like a piece of what I call junk that I don't have to think about, is just be entertained. And if I should fall asleep and take a nap, that's okay too.
We've been traveling to a lot of state parks and doing sightseeing and a lot of things we haven't really done very much in the past. And it's fun to just get out of the house when otherwise you're going bananas.
And I like to turn on my audio book that I'm listening to and work on my jigsaw puzzle.
Mm. Well, I'm with Nadia. I ramped up my iPod Nano. I've probably got 350 songs on there now. I upgraded to better headphones, and I get out and I start walking and make sure that my Fitbit registers at least 100,000 steps every week. And it's sort of my retreat.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you kind of answered another question I had on the list, but that's good. Okay. This one, folks, got to be honest. Okay. Due to the restrictions of the pandemic, most of us are staying home more. It's been said that we become very comfortable with our clothing. Would you say that is true? And because we can only see the head and shoulders of each one of us, what else are you wearing today?
I'm wearing leggings.
Ah.
I've got jeans on.
And
Oh,
I have jeans on too.
yeah, and I've got stretchy pants because I gained so much weight over Christmas.
Well, I put on a shirt with a collar to be out in the world today on Zoom, but typically I just wear I think they call them a Henley. You know, they have a couple buttons here and they're like just a
Yeah.
pullover shirt. I wear those all the time, but I figured I'd wear a shirt with a collar today and really dress up for the occasion.
Okay. Well, let's go to a little more serious question then. Due to the pandemic and all the restrictions, many people are suffering from loneliness. They're feeling isolated and some are even getting depressed. Could you give one suggestion about what they could do to actually get beyond that? Nadia?
You know, I have a very, very talkative husband, so I don't suffer as much as a lot of people do. But I have been reaching out to my friends in a writers group. Wow, Gloria, you're in that group. There are a couple of friends in that group that I know. Some of them live alone, some don't, but that I haven't talked too much. And I'm making Zoom calls to those people and just chatting. And being an introvert, that's not a normal thing for me to do, but it seems like it's made me feel a lot better during this winter.
I think I've been putting a lot of pictures on Facebook from past events and then also from our travels around to different parks and everything. And we were out checking out a lot of waterfalls for a while, and it's fun to put up pictures. And now even in the winter when they're partially frozen over, it's kind of fun to have pictures of those too. So.
And well, I'm in a situation where my husband died a year and a half ago. So I'm still, you know, in the grieving process. So and people in my grief group have said that being alone has exacerbated this loneliness. And so what I've done is I've tried to make at least 2 or 3 phone calls every week. And there are 2 friends that have also lost a spouse, or somebody that's has their spouse is seriously ill. I organized a Zoom call with my good friends. And so I think connecting with other people has been really important for me.
That is wonderful, Midge, and exactly what I'm doing as well. I'm blessed with a wonderful husband, and we talk, we take little drives, and we enjoy seeing the country. But I call those people that I know are alone, and so I've been making a lot of phone calls. I haven't had Zoom calls with them, but we've had a few family Zoom calls, and that's been really great to talk with our family on Zoom. In fact, the Van Demeltot family has a Zoom call every month at a particular time, and whoever gets on is fine. You know, sometimes it's only 2 or 3, sometimes it's more than half a dozen people. So that's been great. But I think that the story for me is communicating with those that I think might need it, including me.
Well, and
Yeah.
it's important to realize everybody's in the same boat. And so
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people are annoyed if you contact them. And I think it's a time to look at it as an opportunity. You know, what does this enable me to do that I couldn't do before? And so for me, it has been connecting up with a few people out of my past who'd kind of gotten lost. It involves 2 other families. On Sunday nights, we all watch the same movie at the same time. And then we do a Zoom call and talk about the movie. It's kind of like a movie
Oh.
club. But
Good
we created that as a way, as a substitute for visiting with them in person. And I think you have to be a little creative, but you know, I really think there are tremendous opportunities that come with this sort of thing. And for me, of course, just even decluttering has been a huge opportunity to kind of make my life simpler and more efficient. So
Oh, all good answers. Okay, so let's go on to, with being homebound more, whether you're working at home, you're retired, but we just can't go out as much. Do you feel you've actually saved money or spent more, and why?
In our house, I think we've saved a lot more money, not just in gasoline, partly because the gasoline prices are lower, but a lot less driving. I've bought fewer items of clothing. I have spent a little more money now and then online, but I think overall, yes, saved big chunks of money.
Yeah, same here. We are not going out to movies or out to dinner or um, concerts, you know, that we usually enjoyed. And so those expenses, that money's not being spent.
I would agree with all of you. I used to go out for lunch quite a bit with my friends. And so I get a certain amount of cash out of the bank every week. And
Mhm.
you know, now that money has been sitting in my wallet for quite a bit. Now, I may be spending more money on food at home, but like the gas and the clothes and all that, yeah, a lot less expenditures.
Absolutely. I was laughing with my friend about clothing because I put away all my summer clothes that I didn't wear, and I took out all my winter clothes, which I won't wear, and I certainly don't need anything new. So I would say saving money, although I find that we might buy more online now, and I don't know whether that's good or bad, but we do. We use takeout. We get takeout from our favorite places to eat and bring it home and kind of pretend we're sitting in the restaurant. And so that's fun too. So I think that we can enjoy it, whatever it is. I seem to try to make fun with whatever the situation is. I find we play cribbage more, we do things, we watch specific movies. David, I love your idea of several several groups watching the same movie and then having a Zoom call and talk about it. That is terrific.
Well, we like it. Our checkbook balance is higher than it's ever been. We obviously are saving money rather than spending it. I think the only exception is when it comes to groceries, and most of the time now we're doing curbside pickup, but I'll buy some things that I wouldn't normally buy when I was a penny pincher because I think we're not spending money on anything else. Let's get the better brand of cheese today, or the more exotic vegetable, or whatever it might be. And that's about the only place that we're spending more money. And maybe my wife, who has become addicted to adult Lego sets. These ones that have like 4,000 or 5,000 pieces. I mean, to me, it would drive me nuts because I'm not an IKEA kind of guy. But she does these Lego buildings that are just very elaborate. And they were kind of expensive. That's been our other outlay, was for these Lego things, because they're not cheap. We have an entire city of Lego buildings now, thanks to her.
Oh, fun.
Well, and I think a couple of you kind of brought up the next question. One of the things in 2020 that we might be remembered for is the year of the toilet paper shortage. So, other than toilet paper, have you had difficulty purchasing things? And did you shop in the store, online, curbside pickup? How did your shopping change?
We had a big issue with late last summer. Well, it was September. It was starting to get cold. Our refrigerator blew up, so to speak. The whatever makes it run fried. So we had to buy a refrigerator. We had it all picked out, not available. Picked out another one, more expensive, not available. Third try, more expensive, not available, wait for months. So, and we had, ours was leaking onto the floor, so we moved it out to the deck and spent another month finding a refrigerator that we could get before winter. So that's the trouble we had.
Bob, did you see a difference in the way you shopped?
We stick to one store where I know they do a lot of cleaning, and, you know, I'm not afraid to touch a grocery cart and that sort of thing. And like Dave was saying, we do some curbside pickup as well, but just stick to one store and go at hours where there's not a lot of other people there as well, just to try to be as safe as possible. I haven't really run into any shortages of any consequence other than, like you said, toilet paper once in a while. Might have to settle for an off-brand instead of the stuff you usually like.
Yeah, and I found that the brands that I like for a reason. So if I have to buy the cheaper one, or the one they just have there, I think this is why I buy that brand, because I don't like this one very much. But I had my bathroom remodeled, and the guy that was doing it told me how tough the building supplies were to get, that sometimes, you know, like certain things were just not available because of parts not being delivered, that some factories were slowing down and that kind of thing. So it didn't really affect my purchases, but I know that it must be affecting a lot of people. Or that's part, I think that's Nadia's issue with the refrigerator, is that some of those factories had shut down and the parts were difficult to get.
Mhm. I was not a toilet paper hoarder, I have to say. And when we needed some, the store that I usually go to would be out. So I found myself calling the store for when delivery days were for certain things. And I was able to get then my cleaning products and TP and all those kind of things more timely and when I needed it. But I just don't believe in hoarding. And I was watching people drive out of grocery store parking lots with their car full of toilet paper. I couldn't believe it. I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So we didn't suffer from any lack. And I'm sorry for your refrigerator issue. That must have been awful, Nadia.
Yeah.
In my experience, the toilet paper stuff was largely bogus. There were some temporary shortages, but
Yeah.
the stores seemed to catch up pretty quickly. That didn't stop my wife from, saying, get some more when you get a chance. So we probably have about 50 rolls of toilet paper and about 20 rolls of paper towels in our little stockpile. So we're good for quite a while. But the one thing I was thinking about that was a problematic this past summer was I wanted to upgrade from the clunky bicycle that I had and try to find a new one. And bicycles were hard to find. And I was
Oh.
getting sticker shock. I didn't realize how much they were asking for bikes these days. And I couldn't find one that fit my body right. That's a long story too, but they tended to be, too tall. And so I never bought a bicycle, but there was a clear shortage of bikes that I hope will remedy itself by this coming spring.
Yeah. That, can I add something,
Sure.
Beverly? The automated, I mean, the computers in the technology world was really tight because everybody's staying at home. They're doing Zoom calls. So I was trying to buy one of these little cameras and they were just out, not available at all. So a lot of the things like that were not available because everybody's staying home and using them.
That's very
There are,
true.
Yeah.
there still are shortages of some things on the shelves I find, and some of them are very odd to me. I can't even give you a name of something that I'm thinking of, but I'll come upon it. And why would that be,
Mhm.
not available?
Supply and demand. And
Yeah.
my son, one of my sons is a contractor, and they had trouble getting lumber because people were doing
Yeah.
home renovations and they had to wait,
Oh.
and it's taking them, they'd have everything else they needed except the lumber to start a job. So
Yeah, I
that's
bet anything to do with home improvement stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
right.
know.
Right. Okay, let's talk a little more, something a little more fun. These things, the mask. Okay. There's so many different kinds and styles, and I know we can't promote any one more than the other on our show, but it's been said that our eyes are the windows to our souls. Do you recognize people wearing masks? And what can you tell by looking at their eyes?
There you go.
I do recognize people that I know well. I'm sure there could be someone I don't know very well that might walk right past me. But one thing I notice is you can tell when someone is smiling at you. So I
Yes.
make it a point to still smile at people and
Yeah.
I try to remember that I'm going to smile through my eyes also. But you can tell when people are smiling at you. And I think that part is very nice.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
remember about a year ago, it was a joke to say that in the old days, if you walked in somewhere to your bank or whatever with a mask on,
Yeah.
the police would be right in your face and got a mask on, and you're out of sorts if you don't have a mask on.
Yeah, I agree, Nadia. I think I've noticed that, I really look at people's eyes when I'm like shopping. It's one of my only places I go, at a grocery store. But I've noticed that, and my perception is that people don't talk as much. When you put the mask on, they don't talk very much, like especially in stores and stuff. Whereas if you were in line, maybe there were like 3 or 4 people waiting to check out, you might have a conversation with somebody.
Mhm.
you know, just.
I know people with hearing problems,
Absolutely.
it makes
That
it worse when they're trying to listen to somebody that has a mask on. They can't read
No, I
lips
can
and
see
that sort of thing.
exactly,
Yeah.
Bob. That's what I was going to mention. I have a severe hearing problem and I read lips more than I realized. And so now I can't hear what people are saying. And so I just sort of walk around and smile. And Nadia, like you say, you try to smile with your eyes and um, do what I need to do without talking to people. And I find it's inhibiting for me because I'm a conversation starter. Obviously, I'm very extroverted. I like to talk to people. If I see a woman with a pretty hairdo, I will say something, or a pretty dress or a nice looking coat or something like that. I will say something and start a conversation. Now I don't do it. Now
Mm,
that we wear the masks because I don't hear replies.
mm,
I have tried to enjoy my relative anonymity, but it is frustrating. On the other hand, I have done some double takes when I remember there was a woman right behind me when we were going to grocery stores in person, and it was a neighbor who lived down the street. And I kind of just looked at her for a while and she was just a total stranger. But then I started to think about it and I said, isn't that you, Desiree? You know, because it was our neighbor, and indeed it was. But I don't
Mhm.
necessarily immediately recognize people if they have a mask on. Often I do, but not always.
mm.
Well, we've answered a lot of the questions. We have about a minute and a half left. So let me just ask a quick one here. With being homebound more, we're cooking a lot more with restaurants not being open. Does anybody have any really quick, easy recipe?
Not a specific recipe, but the old casserole formula. You take a meat, a vegetable, a can of cream of mushroom soup, and some kind of a starch, a potato or tater tots or something like that, and whip it all together and throw it in the oven. It always works. Change the vegetable, change the meat.
I think I've done less cooking than I used to, just for dieting kind of reasons, you know. Uh, don't do elaborate casseroles or bake cakes anymore or any of that stuff. Just trying to keep the weight off till we get back outside a lot more. So
One. And Dave, what about you? Do you have any
I'd
suggestions?
say lots of soups. I've become sort of a soupaholic, and it's good for the belt line and it's great in the winter. And I've done a variety of kinds of soups. I won't go into the details here, but
And leftovers are always great. So with that, we are out of time. And I thank you, uh, Dave and Bob, Midge, Gloria, Nadia. It's been wonderful listening to your points. And I am sure that our viewers have enjoyed it as well. And thank you, audience, for joining us. We'll see you next time on Generations.